DC, Donnie, Julie. Just keeps going. It keeps going. There's new people coming in. Carmen's here. Teresa's here. Wendy Sands, Wendy Ullman, Tara, Tammy, Shannon, Sandra, Robin, Patsy, Lisa, Linda, Kelly's here. Catherine, Kathy. It just keeps going. Welcome. All right. Man, we've got a great live stream clinic planned for you today. If you are watching us on any platform online right now, we are doing something brand new at Stall High. We're going to do this free live stream clinic today to discuss the science of leaving barrels standing. So if any of you went to a barrel race, whether it was over the weekend or whatever your last barrel race was, how many of you hit one or more barrels? Drop it in the comments if you hit a barrel. If you did, which one did you hit? I personally hit the first and the second on Friday at Blake Myers Race in Santo, Texas. How many of you went to Blake Myers Race in Santo, Texas over the weekend? It was phenomenal. Blake said himself he has not seen this level of competition in years, talking about mega horses showing up, multiple world champions, hot like off the press, hot topic horses, pink buckle horses. Like it was tough. The new arena records were set, I believe, 3 different times over the weekend. The ground was so fast and it was amazing. It was just impressive to watch that. I want to talk about today, review my ride. How many of you feel frustrated when you hit a barrel and you don't understand why you hit the barrel? But even furthermore, why the drills that you've been taught to do or the equipment you've been buying to lift your horse's shoulder up, why it's not working. Are you to that point? Is anyone to their quitting point yet? You are so frustrated, you're questioning whether it's time to give it up and start crochet or becoming a professional TikTok content creator. I don't know. Beth? Yeah. Anybody else? You're at your breaking point? I don't believe it's coincidence that you're here today listening to our voice. We don't want you to quit. I was at that point in my career because I was doing everything that good barrel racers did, but it was failing monumentally for me. And every time I bought a faster horse, my problems didn't get better. They got much worse. And I want to save people my decades of hardship. And that's why we created the Stall High online coaching program. You're going to meet my mentors today, our lead stride coaches, Michael Richardson. He is our leading coach of biomechanics. We geek out when we study the angles of the horse and the rider because, like Dr. Joe Shattuck says, it's not a mystery. It's just math. And when you have something to really break it down and you can see it for yourself, it sheds a whole new light on the sport of barrel racing. It makes it fun again. You're going to meet our lead neuroscientist, Leanna Ray. She's also one of the lead stride coaches. We are bringing something brand new to the sport of barrel racing because it is a new era of barrel racing. And we're really excited to pioneer a brand new style of riding and a brand new way to solve your barrel horse's problems. Are y'all ready? Comment if you're ready. You want to know the new style. Don't quit. Dimitri says, I'm ready. Lacey says, yes. And by the way, let's get to know everyone. If you're returning, please drop it in the chat how you're classified. We have different online coaching programs here at Stall High. We've got some people in the attunement class. We've got some masterclass riders. We've got some level 2 masterclass riders. We've got 11 brand new certified coaches. So if any of our certified coaches are on this call, please identify yourself. And if you're new, let us know what brought you here. Where did you hear about us? Where are you from? Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your horse in the comments. What are you struggling with? So we'll know how we can best help you. Any of our advisors here, we have a professional team of expert advisors to help you for free any day of the week with your horse. All you have to do is text us. You can ask any question you want. Text us at 940-291-9090. Now that that's out of the way, let's get rolling. Michael Richardson. Wow, it was so cool. It was just great to have you at the race with us on Saturday and to hear your big booming voice just echo across the arena as we were running. And it just made it so special and so memorable.
That's so sweet. I enjoy every minute of it. It's just wonderful to be able to be there for y'all and support you and see the fabulous work that you're all doing.
Well, it's really, you're bringing such a big gift to the sport of barrel racing, because you see things that the rest of the barrel racing world and the rest of the horse training world don't see yet. So you're teaching us how to look through your eyes. Leanna, you're teaching us how to look through the lens of neuroscience. And if you're young or if you're new and you don't really know what neuroscience means, you don't have to. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand this. It's just the study of our brains and how they impact the rest of our body. So, Leanna, it's just fascinating to me that we have this really unique opportunity. The combination of you being an expert in neuroscience, Michael's experience and expertise in understanding horse and rider biomechanics, and then myself and the team of coaches coming in as the athletes, and how y'all are helping us not just change our own posture, our own game plan, but we're helping other people. There's now outreach programs to reach the entire sport. And I'm just really excited to dive in today. So y'all say hello to our lead stride coaches, Michael Richardson and Leanna Ray. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started with my own personal review. Are y'all ready?
Kendra, I don't have anything. It's just dark.
Okay. Can someone help about, you know what? When I go live on the Zoom, Foz, I lose the ability to share my screen. Are you able to share on form for us? Or Shelly or Sherry? We've got an amazing team here. Someone share my screen. I can. Go to review my ride. Thanks, Foz. It's under, it's in the folder, review my ride with Coach Kendra.
Okay, Kendra, I need to log into the
app. Okay.
I can see you now.
Hey, howdy.
Hey, how are you?
Good. We have, while Foz is pulling up the screen so that we can study these reviews, who wants to win one of these new leader caps? Because we're doing something brand new and we're bringing a new definition to what it looks like to be a new leader, to pioneer a new way of riding. Stay tuned for the end. We're going to talk about how you can win one of these new leader caps powered by Stall High. Carmen says, me, LOL. Teamwear. All right, Foz, when you get to that library, we're going to look at a run from Friday. So I'm riding my friend Susan's horse. His name's Bingo, and he's real ratey. So he's got a lot of natural rate to him. He sets hard. He goes to the ground beautifully. I love that. I love a horse that's real grabby with their hocks and real light in the face. There are some mechanical errors in this run that we're fixing to watch that caused Bingo to kind of get in a jam physically. And when he gets in a pinch, you're going to see him run into my rein. Even though I ride with very soft, light hands, occasionally, if a horse kind of slips out of those ideal tracks or off that ideal pattern that we teach them, they're going to bounce into that rein, and they're going to make contact with the bar of the bit. That right there, if you're paying attention, I hope your eyes just went ping and that you just caught that, because that one thing alone, if you'll camp out right there and really marinate on that, that can change your barrel racing career forever. Think about the amount of times your horse feels pressure from the bit. Doesn't matter what bit you're using, whether it's one of ours or one you bought from somebody else. But every time a horse feels pressure, metal bit on the bars of their mouth, think of the bars of their mouth like your shin. There's not a lot of flesh covering the shin bone. So anytime there's contact with a hard surface, it's more sensitive than other parts of our body. So how many times is your horse feeling that abrupt bang on the bars of their mouth? And how hard? How many times and how much is your hand moving to try to control your horse? Leanna, you're teaching us the way those every little time we bang that bar, bang the bit on the bars of their mouth, the horse is keeping score.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They're paying attention, and it's
Yeah.
going to not just physically hurt them, but over time it
Right.
causes emotional injuries. That
Yeah, and it causes
those are real
a lot of
bourbon.
a lot of mental distress. And if there's mental distress, there's going to be physical distress in
Mhm.
terms of disruption between how the body communicates with itself and between the horse and the rider.
Mhm.
So that's yeah. So that's and then understanding how we treat the horse's mouth is going to that is going to affect their pelvis, as is ours as well. So we talk about how important our seat is and how important it is to get the hind end engagement. But if we are causing disruptions in the mouth, we can't get to the full capacity of the connection of the hind end and our pelvis. We can't open up those communication pathways.
Are y'all paying attention?
Yep.
This lady just saved you a good 50 years of hard
Well,
knocks.
and the other part that comes with that is if they run into the bit, hit the bit, that goes up to their atlas and axis. And when that tightens up, they lose the ability to move their head and neck like
Yes.
they if that hadn't happened. And that is a disruption. Every time you jam them in the mouth, to whatever extent, it's a
Yep.
disruption. Speed.
All right, Fives, go to the top of the page, please, sir. And we're going to look at the second video listed. It starts with 1541. It's the 29-second video at the top. Yep. I believe this is going to be my run from Friday night. And hey, I'm happy because I'm making progress with this horse. So we're extending his stride. And then pause, if you will, hit the to remove that arrow in that circle, please. On your drop down, it'll say remove all. There's like a little triangle to the right of your screen, and you can pull down the drawing tools. There you go. Thank you. And then rewind from the alley. Oh, that was too tight.
Yep.
Well, Peter, sorry about that. No, great 6.
Okay, so I believe I ran a 16.9 with 2 barrels down. Foz, if you'll go back to the beginning, we're gonna get close to the first barrel and then slow that screen down. I want you, and what you guys are watching is what we call review my ride. If you want to run your last run through our software and get private coaching, go to reviewmyridenow.com. You're going to save 50%. You're going to get private coaching. Use discount code Blake. Thank you, Blake Myers. All right. And if you can enlarge the screen,
So
Michael,
we
what's
go
going
back?
on as I approach?
Well,
Yes.
let's go back to four strides back.
Okay.
All right. So right there, that is where he starts to lean.
It's 11:15.
Starts to lean to the right. So
Okay.
then you're continuing, and right now he's not too bad. He's trying to stay as balanced as he can, but as he approaches the barrel, go now. Watch him lean even more. There, right there, it starts again or continues. That outside leg goes out. He drops the hip, and he needs to be more uphill, which will help him. Which that's what you saw in the second run.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean by that for people who don't know what uphill means?
But we want the forehand to be higher than the hindquarters because the hindquarters that's the engine. And if they have the ability to run uphill, they're lightening their footfall, their agility, moving their forehand from left to right, for example, as this barrel. They're a lot snappier. They're a lot freer, and that adds up to the ability increases, and therefore your speed is
Mhm.
increased.
Okay, now
Or
I've
your
got
overall.
people watching on TikTok as well. I want y'all to study my horse's head and neck. Michael, you said their atlas and axis will tighten up anytime they feel pressure on the bars of the mouth. So how many times, guys, if you really look at this through the lens of biomechanics and review my ride in a new way, how many times are you making contact with their mouth, and how much pressure are you applying? Michael said every time we do that, it causes a disruption. Well, if each disruption is equivalent or equals to 1/10 of a second, how many disruptions are costing you the race? My disruptions cost me a +10. So I hit 2 barrels on this night at this race. I hit the first and the second barrel. So obviously I'm out. Let's go right in here. I'm going to zoom in.
No, thank you.
Now, Foz, if you'll play all the way through, I want you to watch my horse's head and neck.
Well, Peter, sorry about that.
What did y'all notice about his head and neck? Drop it in the comments. What did you see about this horse's head and neck through the turn? What do y'all think about him? By the way, I think he's a really cool horse. He's a lot of fun to ride. He is rady. This was probably my 6th run ever on him. And I've consistently hit barrels on him because I'm learning him and he's learning me. We're both re-educating and recalibrating ourselves with our stride coach's help here at Stall High. Okay, let's see what they're saying. He's really cool. Cami says, what are some other? He has a lot of try, Robin said. What else? What do y'all notice about him? He's tipping his head to the outside, Tony said. What else? What do y'all see? He looks a little stiff. Sarah, good eye. His head is up, his neck is stiff. Y'all are hitting some bullseyes. Good job. Keep going, Michael.
Yep. So as he tips that head to the outside, look at this shoulder. And look at where his hind legs are. So his hind legs are almost to the outside. So that creates a potential twist through his body, therefore affecting the ability to stay elevated is harder. And he's not going to be able to approach that barrel where he's already kind of setting himself up to hit the barrel, turn too early. But with that said, look at, if you were to draw a line, he's still more uphill in the front than he is the hindquarters. This is
so he does have that going for him.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is just, like you said, this is just recalibrating. He's a fancy little dude, and he's quick on his feet. He's got a longer stride than you would think for his size. I like him, and it's a matter of him trying to figure out what he can do with his hindquarters, and again, reinforcing how that affects his ability to perform with the ability of the forehand and his ability to, yes, right now the head's tipped to the outside, but there's a lot more good of this than bad. I mean, to 2 barrels, that's unfortunate, but you cleaned it up and ran really, really nice the next day.
Yes. Leanna, I'm going to let you kind of come in and start chiming in before we go to the next run where we left him standing. What do you see happening in this run?
Well, so this is a horse that you've had him for how long and how many runs has he done?
I've had him a little under 90 days in my care.
Okay.
And this was if I'm calculating correctly, this was my 5th run on him.
Okay. So this is where being part of Stalla High is going to be incredibly invaluable, you guys, because we have to begin to, with our horses, collect data. If we don't have the data and we don't have in terms of like understanding the progress and then like the projection of the pathway that our horse is on, how can we know we're truly helping them? What we do know about Bingo, and Kendra, maybe we could do at some point a let's follow his journey, because really 5 runs is not that much and he's already improving significantly. What we're seeing here with Bingo is he is learning Kendra.
Yep.
He is beginning to tap into how Kendra's body is moving because, and again, this is just part of the journey. We all get horses that have different histories and different paths, but their history is told through the movement patterns of their body, if you know how to read them.
Mhm.
Because if we can't break down the history of their body, how do we know where to take them? How do we know how to lead them?
Mhm.
And so
Absolutely.
what we see from Bingo
Yep.
is that he is learning to tap in to his hind end, but it's as if his hind end and his front part of the body goes, wait a minute, I'm not used to connecting like this. So I'm going to have a little bit of glitches here, right? But if the rider understands those glitches, Kendra can open her body in a way that helps the adaptation process become more flexible, more powerful, more potent. She can redirect like that, right? Versus sliding in, the horse falling on her, the horse not being able to hold himself or balance his rider. And that's the skill you're seeing from Kendra as she's working with a horse that's beginning to really tap into his full potential. But
Oh.
again, if you don't have a baseline, if you don't have the data to show where the horse is, how to read the history that's stored in their body, specifically their movement patterns, how can we truly and honestly say we know where to take this horse and how to lead this horse?
Right. Yep. Well put. Well put. And I think
Yeah.
to expound even more on just what you said is the process of you, Kendra, and Bingo learning each other and recalibrating. He's also learning a whole new movement pattern, and that
Yes.
is hard at going slow, not to mention
Yes.
going at
Fast.
speed. So,
Mhm.
so I think in that, and that gets us back to where we said earlier. There's a lot more good here than you would think. Oh, geez, you dropped 2 barrels, but there's so much more.
Right.
Yes.
But you have to learn to see that. But in this image right here, like
Right.
what I see is a horse that has forgotten how their back end and their front end connect.
Absolutely.
Like, oops.
Say that again.
2 horses.
What I see exactly, Michael, is I see 2 horses. I see a horse that in that moment goes, my back end and my front end disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then a horse
All
will get a
right.
little panicky. But you're a
Okay.
kind of rider, though, that gives Bingo confidence. But any other horse, when their front end and their hind end disconnect, they're going to go, oop.
Panicky.
Yep.
Yes,
Okay.
and then they're going to start
Are
doing
y'all
this.
listening?
Yep.
Are you listening?
Exactly
Are you
right.
listening?
Mhm.
Everyone listening to this live right now, they just saved you another 50 years of loping circles, buying horses just like I did, just burn through them right and left. A bit collection, even though I would love to sell you one of my bits. I don't want you to buy it if you're not willing to learn how to use it to its highest capacity, its tall highest capacity, because they're designed to be different. They're not designed to sit and fit like every other bit. Listen to what our stride coaches are saying. How many of you just had a light bulb bullseye moment, like click, oh my God, my horse is panicking through the turn. We have falsely thought they're just stupid.
No.
That they need more exhibitions, that they need to go back to the slow work, that they need to go back to the round pen and be bitted up because they're dropping their shoulder and they're pulling on their hands, or they're bracing or losing power or powering out. If you really study their behavior, guys, if we look at it in their truest sense, they're panicking. How would you feel? How do you feel? The last time I tripped was at a public restaurant. I'm not wearing them right now, but let me put them on for you. Hold on. I have new glasses, and they're not bifocals. I went to the progressive lenses. Okay, can y'all see these? My progressives. Well, they're a little fuzzy because the way your vision is adjusted for like up close, medium, and then far off, my eye moves. Well, it was dark. I was walking out onto the patio looking for Leanna and Ashley and my daughter. I thought they went out there, but it was kind of dark. I could not see that step underneath me. and my toe caught it, little bitty step. And all of a sudden I'm flying through the air. Well, what's the first thing we do when we're flying through the air and you're about to eat dirt? Oh, the joy of bifocals, Kevin said. Somebody drop in the comments. We brace. What else? What's your body's natural reaction? You put your hands out, Taylor. Yes. It's no wonder horses are dropping a shoulder, guys. It's not a mystery.
Yep,
Dr.
that's
Joe
right.
Shattuck says it all the time. It is no longer a mystery. It is simple math. This is physics and biology. This is science class. When they feel like they're going to fall face first with us on them, they have to throw their hands out to catch themselves. And that causes us to falsely think it's a shoulder problem. It
Yep.
goes way deeper than a shoulder problem. That's just a result. That's just a symptom of what's going on. So your horse, yeah, Jim Mateo's like, wow, I never thought about it like that. If you feel like your horse is panicking going into the turn, think about it from their perspective. I lost the ground for a minute. I didn't know where my feet were. So I had to try to put my hands in front of me to catch me. Now, thankfully, I wasn't running. Thankfully, I got my feet up under me quick enough to regain my balance, and I did not fall all the way down in public. But it embarrassed me and it rattled me. Talk about shooting adrenaline. How many of you remember, like, when's the last time you tripped or fell down? Anyone? I
Yeah.
remember tripping at a high school rodeo one time. Yeah, Michael, he's taking a few falls lately.
Oh, geez, yeah,
What happens to your blood pressure when you trip or you fall? Somebody talk to me. 2 months ago, Cami says, what happens to our blood pressure, guys?
goes up.
Yes. It raises, it raises, it raises. Well, it's no wonder our horses' blood pressure is going up too. It spikes, it startles them. Can you imagine what it feels like to be them? At Stall High, we are learning a brand new way to ride, literally a new way to move our hips, to isolate our pelvis, to engage our spinal column more so that we tap into the neuroscience, being led by Leanna Ray. The cerebral spinal fluid can flow. Any of you that feel like you're like, I'm getting way too nervous. I want to do this, but it kind of sucks because I get so nervous. I want to throw up and then I just blank out and I can't remember anything. Leanna, we talked about that in this new leader live stream series. Like, you're not getting enough flow. Your pump has stopped working.
Your pump has stopped working and your brain has taken information instead of it registering here, which is our ability to our higher level thinking and our reasoning. And it's taken energy back here to the primitive parts of the brain, fight, flight, freeze, collapse. And so what we've done is we've created a biological barrier for ourselves. And the state of our posture and our nervous system directly affects our capacity for our spatial awareness, for our capacity for our vestibular system to understand our sense of balance, our proprioception of where our body, mapping our body in terms of space. And so understanding that that's happening, that does affect our horse.
Yes.
And it's not that that isn't going to happen. It's, do you have the tools and do you understand how to move your body back into a state of regulation, into a state of connection, to where the front and the back of the brain are communicating well, both sides of the hemisphere, and
It's 11:30.
here in your nervous system, right? And I call our nervous system also our information system. So that's are all those information systems on? Do we have a full control panel, and are we aware?
How many of you relate to what she just said? Did that just take 20 years of pressure off of you? It's not your fault. It's not our fault. It's not the people who trained us or the people that we idolize, what seems to be working for them. If it's not working for you, it's not your fault, but it is our responsibility. Once you have the information, if you don't have it, it's your responsibility to get it, unless you want to remain stuck, unless you want to continue the cycle of mysterious barrel problems that nobody really solves long term. And the people that do seemingly solve it long term, if that's you, if you're listening, you're like, dude, my horse doesn't drop a shoulder anymore. Okay, well, are you where you want to be? Are you at the peak of your horse's performance, or is there still room for improvement? This is how you're going to get it. This is the new era. Foz, if you will, please go to the next run. Leanna, you blew all of our minds when you started teaching in the master class. Earlier this year, you started explaining the ocular nerves. As an athlete, as a rider, how important it is to understand our central nervous system and how much our eye movement impacts our body's movement.
Yes, and our capacity for our body to translate data that's constantly coming in from the outside world into us. How quickly, efficiently can we take the turns and the depth perception that's shifting and changing? And how does it affect our body and how we hold ourselves? Right? Because again, if we have tension in the mind, we're going to have tension in the body and vice versa. If you have tension in the body, you're going to have tension in your mental thinking, and that's going to directly connect to sending signals to your horse that something is not right.
Yep. So check this out, guys. Foz, let it rip.
Atta girl! Atta girl! Good job, Kendra! Good job! Good girl! Bring her home! Bring her home! Nice!
Let's play that again, Foz. Mine was kind of skipping around. I don't know if it skipped on y'all. Leanna, what do you notice? What's different about this run?
Oh, well, one, you can hear Michael's voice cheering you on, which is what All Style High is about cheering you on.
Good job, Kendra!
I mean, right? But
Good
here
job!
you see him entering into his full stride, right? Like,
Good girl!
you know, Michael, you
Bring
can
her
chime into
home!
this, and it's a little spotty.
Nice!
This right here is that you can see where Bingo has because this is Bingo, and that he has his full capacity to lengthen into that stride.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? His back end and his front end are staying connected, right?
Yep.
And you can see that through how his body is moving. And again, it's a little glitchy, but we get the feel of the whole run, right? Like the way the way he's able to shape himself. And notice I'm going to say shape, not just turn, but shape himself around the barrel, right? And as she comes around, he's getting more power from his hind end right there. And then there he goes, right there, with a lot of stability. He understands how to move that energy from his hind end through his diaphragm to the front, his front end. He has access to his head and the neck. His axis is soft, because if his atlas and axis is soft, so is his body, vice versa. And there you go, right there. See how he lengthened right there, guys? Because in the last picture, he kind of broke. And even here, he knows the turn he's about to take. He is getting ready, and he goes, I know how to burst, but yet shape myself around that turn. And there he goes, right there.
And to your point there, Leanna, it was great because of his head and neck, particularly his atlas and axis being as free as possible. He's bringing, and not only that, because his diaphragm is working different than it did yesterday.
Yes, correct.
Is floating because the rib cage are softer. That's allowing him to bring his hind legs past his front. Watch this right there.
Yes.
Right there. That would not happen.
Correct.
Not if he wasn't soft. His nervous system being stimulated in a positive direction, and his ability to be elevated through his forehand. If he wasn't, would not bring his hind legs that far forward, because it would create, in his mind, he'd be more unstable.
What?
That all
This
goes
is
along.
so good.
Yep. Beautiful.
This is really good. All right.
And that's fantastic. Wow.
Beautiful.
Do we have your attention? Do you see how these two people are completely changing the sport of barrel racing? We're just getting started, guys. We've got a community going on. We're still a small group, but we are leading what we started calling it a movement, and then it turned into a revolution, and now it's a crusade. Because barrel horses, by and large, are being misunderstood. And barrel racers are paying exorbitant fees, amounts like vet bills, all these pain devices, pain therapy, wasting hours just trotting and loping around the barrel, hoping that your horse is just going to finally get it. How many of you know if you do it that way, it takes a long time to season a horse?
Yep.
And that's not really fun for either one of you. Do you just kind of go into this robotic, like if you've been training for a long time, is it just kind of like a method that you just punch it in, doot, 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 just go crank out another one? And maybe that has served you well. But if you are trying to get to the top of the sport and stay there, how many of you know it is increasingly becoming more competitive? With advancements in vet care, health care, understanding, now technology, biomechanics, neuroscience, we can do a much better job stewarding our horses and supporting their natural movement. That's how we choose to do it at Stall High, and that's what makes us different. We want to save you the time so you don't have to waste time every week just out there loping and grinding on your horse, doing the same old thing. We're going to teach you a new way to recalibrate your horse's mind and body, to re-educate and recalibrate your mind and body, specifically your eyes. That's going to be one thing we talk about in the masterclass program. All I did differently was changed how I used my eyes in this run. And it was easy to leave the barrel standing. I was like, there's our first clean run. He did it. It changed his stride. I didn't do anything more or less with my hands, guys. I didn't bump him. I didn't hold him off. I didn't just hustle him past. I just used my eyes differently. Leanna, how is it that our eyes can be so powerful? And how fascinating is it that a horse literally will follow our eyes, if not more, better than our hands? Why is that?
Oh, right. Because so the optic nerve, we have millions of connections from the optic nerve to all parts of our brain. Specifically, it also goes through our amygdala, which is our emotions, also our hippocampus, which is our memory, but it directly connects to our sensory motor cortex of the brain. So if the eyes are not soft, what's going to happen is that the back part of the brain is going to develop some tension, because the optic nerve is going to be more in terms of what's called ocular lock. And by the way, society is beginning to teach us to be more and more in an ocular lock, meaning like I'm looking at my screen right here. I'm driving here. I'll look to the right or left just to make sure it's safe to pass. We have our phones that are these devices that we do here like this, right? So we're losing in terms of just in general, or students, you lecture and it's just like this. We're losing our ability and our capacity to tap into our peripheral vision. So we do have to work with the capacity for our eyes to reach the fullest capacity, to open up, to take in that information safely, to work with our own breathing. Because when we do that, the optic nerve is sending it's super efficient in sending the correct data, and how in terms of how we also analyze it and interpret that, and how it then flows through the movements of our body. Because then that affects through our cranial nerves how we connect into our body, and if we're going to be in a more rigid posture, or if it allows our body to open up and create the space, right, to allow energy to flow and to move. And by the way, that helps with both sports performance and how we move through life and how life moves through us. It's a bidirectional, reciprocal information exchange.
I love this so much. I did all the years, like I spent the years, and I would just grind away on those horses and just labor myself. I would force myself to run, like go practice and go ride, rain, sleet, snow. I would pride myself on, I'm the most devoted rider out there. I deserve it because I'm willing to get out here and bust my butt. And it's 21 degrees outside. How many of you have falsely prided yourself on that just because you could work harder? Well, is that sustainable? Does your life schedule actually allow you to do that? Do you go to school? Do you have a job that doesn't let you live it nonstop? I got to a point where I could live it nonstop. That's what I did for the bulk of my career. I trained and sold barrel horses, and I competed on the pro circuit. But I was also a mom, a husband, a a wife to a husband, like we have a good marriage, we always have had, founded a 501c3 with a pageant. So pageant founder and coordinator, competing, trying to stay in the top 15 ranks in the WPRA standings, having to train, sell, promote, advertise horses, be a friend, be a coach, and then maintain my own sanity. That was a lot. So I had to find a way, before I met Michael and Leanna, I had to find a way that was time efficient. Cut out the crap. I didn't have time to sit out there for an hour or 90 minutes every day on every single horse. When I ran anywhere from 11 to 20 head of horses here at all time, for one person, that's quite a caseload. That's a lot of horses to have to be responsible for training every week and keeping pretty and keeping advertised and keeping at their peak performance. So this is a way that is much shorter on your time commitment, and it's going to help your horse find those new movements that are more natural, more free flowing, free range of motion without all of the restrictions and the disruptions that you see with traditional barrel tack and technique. How many of you are interested? Like, sign me up, Kendra, I'm ready to go. Foz, if you will, please pull up reviewmyridenow.com. This is how you're going to get started. I mentioned we've got a 21-day makeover course. We've got an extended makeover option. It's called Extended Attunement. We've got 2 master classes led by Michael Richardson, Leanna Ray. So you can literally get help with your horse at the tip of your finger. You don't have to drive all across the nation. You don't have to take time off work. If you can't come to the live classes, you can catch the replays. This is how we're changing the game. Review My Ride is how you're going to get started. Thanks to Blake Meyer for being an amazing barrel racing producer. You're going to save 50% right now when you click on this button, if you will, please. Everyone type it. If you're listening to me, type reviewmyridenow.com so that those who aren't really paying attention, they're going to get it. Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Hallie. Reviewmyridenow.com. Everybody tap it. Type it. It's going to stick to your memory and you're going to help somebody else. Okay. And now I want you to type capital letters Blake. BLAKE. That's how you're going to save 50% on private coaching. You can go do some other coaching apps. Are they going to give you private coaching? Private steps on how we're teaching it, the science of it, breaking down the mechanics of what tack and what technique is costing you the most money on the clock. I don't want you to repeat my mistakes. Don't drive away feeling like a failure from your next race. Don't get your hopes up, like brave enough to get your hopes up, and then you get your dreams shattered again because the way you're doing it isn't working. It's not your fault, but you need new information. You need new keys to unlock your horse. And we have found them. It is working time and time and time again. Those of you who are returning, you are alumni or you are active in the classes. How much time have you shaved off the clock? Drop it in the comments so that people can see the proof is in the riding. The proof is in the horse. We have riders on a daily basis posting their success stories in our private Facebook group. So if you have questions, don't just take my word for it. Go join that private Facebook group. It's called Stallhite Online Clinic. Thank you. Wendy Ullman, now winning on the WPRA circuit, shaved 1.5 seconds off. Full second off. There's another pro rider, Kelly Crowley, and counting. Anyone else? Hours of training down to minutes. Robin just took off 0.4. How many ride reviews do you get with this, Lacey? Great question. You're going to get 1. And then I want you to talk to your coach about what's the next step for you. Let's get you started with Review My Ride, and then let's have a conversation to find out if this is if this program makes more sense for you to go ahead and get in that 21-day makeover course. But we want you to be able to test it, take a test ride, get your private review by your own certified coach. We have 11 new coaches certified. What does that mean? That means they have trained with Michael Richardson and Leanna Ray and myself. to do things in a new way, and to see a horse and rider underneath the microscope and looking through the lens of science, not opinion, not popular belief. We saw a lot of horses over the weekend, Michael, that I believe when more people really understand what we're looking at, it's going to change. You're going to start to see the posture, the style of the horse change. We saw a lot of horses all bowed up, and their chin is coming back to their chest. And we just, we think that's good training, and we think that they've got a lot of bend and flex, but really they're cutting off their air supply. They can't breathe when we do that. How do you feel when you're choking, guys? I don't like it when I trip. It's kind of scary. My blood pressure spikes and I get embarrassed. What about when you choke on a piece of food? If you cannot get enough air in your lungs, do you know how panicking that is? Look at the next barrel race. All those horses in the warm-up pen, they're not hot. They are panicking.
Yep.
We're cutting off their air supply. We're shortening their stride. And we're every time, like the way we post, how we were taught to ride is sitting on top of their spine. There's no wonder why we see an increase in kissing spine. Does anybody else have that thought?
Right. That's it.
From
Yep.
Stall High?
Well
Yeah.
put. Yeah.
It's time to change. It's a new era. Now that we know better, we can ride better.
Mhm.
Review My Ride Now is how it starts. Use code Blake to save 50%. This is how you can run half a second faster this week without doing any drills. Sound good? How many of you that sounds wonderful? Unless you like doing things the hard way. Unless you like staying stuck. That's fine. You can. But I think you forfeit your complaint card. You forfeit the right to complain or scratch your head. Don't do that. Don't do that anymore. There's a new way to do things, and that's what we're all about at Stall High. Thank you, Blake Myers, for letting us talk about Review My Ride. I know he's letting his people know on his side. He put on a hell of a race, guys. He always does. His races are amazing. The ground is safe. You can trust it. It's run efficiently. The payout's amazing. If you have not entered one of his races, I highly recommend that. And if you haven't tried Review My Ride with a private coach, we're here for you. ReviewMyRideNow.com.
Can I tell you, my favorite part of review My Ride is to watch
Yes.
how many aha moments and light bulbs that start going off in people's eyes when they see it. It is one of the most fulfilling things to see that, because when you see you and your horse through this lens, and as the coach is there to help you understand what you are really seeing, like the depth of potential and what is there underneath there, it is so exciting and exhilarating and hopeful. And by the way, your mirror neuron system, which is I have to be able to see what I want to change. And the way in which the Review My Ride helps you see it, helps you see the depths and the layers of what's underneath there that you have likely felt but didn't know how to quite say it or couldn't put your finger on it.
Yep.
That's what this allows you to do.
Mic drop.
Yep.
Okay, this was a great live stream clinic. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Those of you that are new, we are so excited to meet you, to learn more about your horse, and to help you run a half second faster without wasting one more entry fee, one more hour doing drills, get more results than you ever dreamed possible. That's what we're doing, and we want to invite you to join us.
Sandra,
I
we
love
have
you
a
guys.
question,
Oh, yeah, Sherry.
from Kelly. Would Review My Ride be helpful with a video of just walking the pattern?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. Because again, we're learning at Stall High that just slowing it down is not going to matter a hill of beans. You're hoping, but really understanding the posture of a horse, every single step, how they place their hoof, how they shape and hold themselves through a turn, how much we're impeding that. Even though we've been taught to use our inside hand and use our inside leg and get them to bend at the rib cage, when you really see from the lens of science that is actually hindering your horse's natural stride, you won't do that anymore. You'll be like, oh my God, but I've been taught to do that since I was a kid. Yeah, me too. We've been shooting ourselves in the boot. We've been doing it the hard way a long time. And this is a much easier way to get a much smoother stride without having to check or pull or waste hours and hours and hours loping circles and jamming and cramming on your horse. It's so freaking easy. Sherry, any other questions?
That's it. We're good.
All right.
Thank
This was
you.
awesome. All right, guys. Have a great day.
Have a great day, y'all. See you.
See
Bye.
y'all soon. Bye, everybody.